Good morning. Welcome to another Bedhead Day, July 5th. I still have 2 more days left until I can post on Facebook, unless someone goes through my page and reports me for whatever. I just need to let you folks know that when I am on Facebook and I am actually speaking, it's to give folks a chance to seek forgiveness by making amends. Making amends and asking for forgiveness are 2 different things. And when you're dead, all you got left is to ask for forgiveness. There's no act of making amends. And I feel like that's where our world has really started to drown. Just saying I apologize, saying I'm sorry, or sending roses or whatever, none of that actually counts. Making amends is an active, intentional string of acts. It's just not one big act. You can't just, this isn't fucking AA, guys. This isn't where you go to someone and say, hey, sorry that the effects of my alcoholism ruined your fucking life. No, it doesn't work like that in the real world where alcohol and drugs have nothing to do with it. So dude thought that he could give more drama to my decoy and reported me. And because it was reported from his Facebook page, the actual post that was more severe was put back up. But the one with his name in it, not last name, just first name, was removed, and I can't post for 3 days. So we're going to do this now. We'll post this on Facebook later. And I just want to let you guys know, you can absolutely report my page, and it can be closed down. But you have to remember, I'm smarter than you, okay? I don't need a computer. I don't need social media. I'm the one who paced tens of thousands of miles, all alone and on my own. So to think for 1 minute that you can silence me and stomp me out through social media is just you giving energy to tell on yourself. Because I promise you, I will always find a way around it. You will not ever be able to control or condition people individually or as a whole, so long as I am fucking living. That's the point. So now we're going to go ahead and go on to the real issue here, which is Newport News Shipyard building, whatever it is. It's in Virginia. Newport News City, Virginia, has Newport News Shipbuilding. And our government, our Navy and our Air Force specifically, employed Newport News Shipbuilding for many, 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 many years. I mean, we're going all the way back to like the fucking 40s here. This is a very old business, and because it was, back in the early 1900s, it's been reported that all of their equipment, their actual facility itself is old. I mean, look what just happened in fucking Miami, and that was a condo that everybody was accountable to repair. We're not talking about an individual capitalistic company employed by our military. This is different. This is where we get to pass the buck around when something bad happens. They got 3 tweets on their fucking Twitter site. And one is, oh, don't worry, we didn't lose the submarine. How the fuck do you even get to the point where it's publicly stated that you've lost a fucking submarine? Now, here's the thing. I'm not an expert, but I definitely have room to talk on the subject because my mother's second husband was Tony Francis. Tony Francis was in the Navy, worked at Electric Boat. We were stationed down in North Carolina with my family a little bit, and then stationed in Goose Creek, South Carolina for a little bit. And he had an extremely large cocaine habit. He was discharged somehow. I mean, I was like 7 or 8. Walked to school on the Navy base and everything. But he had a very, very large cocaine habit. And My mother came home one day after he had been discharged and said, we gotta leave. Didn't come to find out until more than 2 decades later it was because he owed cocaine dealers in that area from the military, from the Navy, a whole lot of fucking money. So my mom ran away and divorced him. That's how my mom took care of shit. So I have a little education of what it means to be in the Navy. And there was some shit that went down, but that's not the point. The point is, apparently, Newport News Shipbuilding is who fucking builds the vessels for our military to go out and fight war. In essence, Newport News Shipbuilding builds weapons. They build weapons. They build fucking weapons. Do you understand this? They build the weapons that eject the weapons.
Oh my gosh, really? That's so interesting. I can't believe that. You're kidding me?
Alright, anyway. Okay, quick dance break. No, we gotta get into it with you. Just your little one. Just your little, your little thing. Come on, do your thing.
What day?
Do you think?
What day?
I don't know.
Neither do I.
Something like that.
Don't do that.
Whatever. Okay, what do you do? Just dance the TikTok steps. Okay, pretend it's a TikTok sound.
But it's not a TikTok.
Alright, no, I'm really talking about something actually important. Because, okay, Sissy, come here, just for a second. Because this can't, no, this isn't live. This can't be posted for another couple of days. So, Sissy knows mommy's drama, right?
Your what?
My drama.
Yeah.
Why does mommy usually create drama? Not the family dynamics, but in the world at large. You being my daughter and knowing me, when I intentionally create drama, what does it mean?
You're doing it for a reason?
No, say it louder.
You're doing it for a reason?
But what kind of a reason is it? Is it a dramatic reason? Is it a drama queen reason?
No, it's to let people know.
And hold people accountable and responsible for their
actions.
Is it just actions though?
Their words?
I think it's a little bit deeper than that, Justice, because I've been going around for 14 years now. So it's about holding them accountable and responsible for what? Their crimes. Their crimes. Because we know not everybody gets arrested for their crimes. Right? Have you seen this firsthand? Every time your father beat somebody up and a police officer was there, what happened? Nothing. So now imagine that you had security clearance from Homeland Security. You are now being hired at a private company that receives military contracts to build our submarines, our aircraft carriers, and our ships that go to sea for the military and go to air for the military. Well?
Oh, you want to explain?
No, I want you to answer.
Imagine, okay, so you said, imagine a person going into the...
Having Homeland Security clearance.
Yeah.
Then being hired at a private company that receives military contracts to make the weapons that discharge the weapons.
So what about that?
If that person who has received Homeland Security clearance to actually not just be employed by the company and build these things, but to also supervise and have authority over other employees. Don't you feel like they shouldn't commit crimes, period, whether anybody's looking or not?
Yeah.
Because that's the whole point of security clearance, is for Homeland to go in and research every facet of their life to make sure that no one connected can be a threat, including that person, right?
Yeah.
You would think. But Gary has now shown repetitively that that is not what the government does. First with your grandfather, Jabek, who has committed crime after crime after crime. He's the one that goes to places like where the condos fell. Imagine if that were a government building. Your grandfather goes in and removes government intelligence off of those damaged electronics. Then he has possession of government intelligence. He is then supposed to bring it on his own to the government so that it's safe. So if someone repetitively commits crimes, when they get a hold of that information, what do you think is going to happen? Oh, they're not going to sell it right away, are they?
Yeah, it could go a couple different ways.
What would be the most logistical way, because we're smart? I would think just to read the information, right? What if you have the information right up here? Okay, well, that's your grandfather, which is why, the government sees him as an asset. So that's like their way of harnessing him as well, because he's that smart. But then you have folks like Gary, who've flown under the radar their whole life, right? So they were given a license to kill through the military. And then when they got out of the military, they received the respect from the government so long as they could prove that their skill was worthy of employment. So here is Gary being a sexual predator, targeting women, specific women who are addicts, women who choose to commit crimes in a way where they're caught, and women who have not learned to respect themselves. Okay, and so he scoops those women up to feed whatever it is in the moment that he wants, and then he discards them in a way where they keep going back to him. Does that make sense? Okay, well, patterns are patterns. We've just seen that the government really doesn't care who committed crimes as long as they can benefit the government, right? Okay, so that's the government's repetitive pattern. And it's not the government. I say the government. Our government works fine. It's our paid employees. So we're talking about the paid employees within the Navy, within the Air Force, within the Department of Defense that creates the contracts and offers it to people, okay? It's a huge chain, and we would have to research, and we could, but right now it's just the generals, because sexual predators are being hired based on their past credentials instead of their current behaviors, and that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. So we can't stop the paid employees of the government. I mean, it's not like we can go to the Department of Defense and be like, hey, you're giving contracts to a company that hasn't updated its facility in more than 40 years, right? We can't go to the CEO or the chief, and I've already got his name and his contact info, and be like, hey, there's this dude who's a sexual predator, because they've already been to court several times about discrimination. I mean, over the past 40 years, they've been to court at least 3 times, Newport News Shipbuilding, for employment discrimination. So it's not like we can go to the head and be like, hey, there's people slipping through the cracks, right? So I tried to focus on the individual. I gave him every ample opportunity to see the crimes he was committing, to stop committing these crimes, and to seek forgiveness through amends. And you know what he did? He reported me on Facebook, and I'm silenced on Facebook for 3 days. I mean, I'm not silenced, but I'm silenced on Facebook for 3 days, right? So, it's no longer about the drama. I was trying to get to the point in a roundabout way so that I didn't hurt his son and remove the financial support. Unfortunately, he thought that he could exert power, control, and authority over me, Gary, the father. So now we need to discuss the real point. And the real point has always been coffee time politics with Cinnamon, right? We're talking about how paid employees of our government, because nobody is listening, trickles down this behavior pattern individually because it's so secretive. Nobody cares. Nobody's like stood up and said, hey, wait, Justice, they lost a submarine. They build submarines and they tweeted, don't worry, we didn't lose it. We know exactly where it is. How in the fuck in 2021, after this company has been doing this for more than half a century, be in a position that someone says, hey, where's the sub? You know what I mean? Okay, so we've already found the fault with the paid employees of the Department of Defense. We've already found the weakness within the Newport News Shipbuilding Company itself. So we found the link of repetitive patterns that validates this man and validates his behavior. And if he's the supervisor of all these employees, don't you think that leadership of expectation is trickling down to every single person he supervises? So if this is the way that he behaves, personally and professionally, what do you think he expects of others?
Not professional work.
No, he expects them to act like him. And so do you think they do?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they do. Who wants to lose their job at Newport News Shipbuilding? I mean, that's pretty awesome on a fucking resume, don't you think? Mm-hmm. So what happened was Gary stole Gavin from Aaron. Sure, let me just explain the point. So when Gary stole Gavin, he moved to Virginia and he got this job at this Newport News Shipbuilding Company that is in and of itself credibility. So with that, he sanctified taking Aaron's son away from her. Like, there was no way this woman could have ever beat Gary, ever. And so now Gavin has to live a motherless life, and no one is exploiting Gary for the sexual predator he is. And he supervises and also works on creating the weapons that discharge the weapons for our military. Tell me how that makes you feel.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was a rhetorical question. Well, I don't really like that. It doesn't, you know.
Okay, say it again. Say it louder.
I don't like it. It doesn't really settle with me.
Oh, it doesn't settle with you. Ooh. And she's 14. You did great. I love you. Go ahead. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Is he still in his zombie state? All right. My family, my mother, my father, and my 2 uncles served in, as well as the second husband of my mother, served in all branches of the military. I was taught to respect our government, our military, and the folks who are employed to be civil servants. I was taught to respect them in a certain way. And then people like Kenny the Corrupt Cop come on the scene, and Gary the sexual predator come on the scene, and they use the image of who my family is to create this illusion of impeccability. And I will not allow it. I will not tolerate it. And I was willing to go about it in a very dramatic way. Alexa, play I Will Trust in You by Lauren Daigle.
Trust in You by Lauren Daigle on Amazon Music.
I can't stop Gary from being a sexual predator. This world is too big. He will always find a weaker person to establish power, control, and authority over. And it hurts. It hurts because I can't share with these women how to respect themselves, because they feel like because I'm not an addict or an alcoholic, I can't relate, so who the fuck am I to talk? As if whether you're recovering or not, addicts and alcoholics all of a sudden know how to respect themselves, right? Fuck ever. I don't care. My point is, I might not be able to stop the crimes, but I can at least share the knowledge so that you're aware of what's happening around you. So after the Champlain Towers fell, I posted the stories. This Newport News shipbuilding, excuse me, isn't as much, it is as much structurally vulnerable, if not more, than those fucking towers. And they're losing submarines. This chief is getting richer, who's the chief of this Newport News shipyard building thing. Our Department of Defense is getting richer because the underbid means that more funds are freed for them to use elsewhere, instead of providing a negotiating deal where this facility is repaired to modern day standards, and where that investment would essentially reap the profitable benefits, but not for another decade. And the people in the now won't be in those positions in a decade. So they're not going to go out of their way to lose money now so people in the future can get richer. It's just not going to work like that unless you stand up and do something about it. Doesn't matter to you now? Okay, well, you have children. You have grandchildren. Some of them are going to want to serve the military. So you just know that every time your niece, your nephew, your daughter, your son, your grandchildren, every time they go for a tour, they are being placed into one of these weapons to discharge weapons. we really don't know how safe it is. And we really don't know the corners that they're cutting through the manufacturing process. I can tell you that Gary has shared with me days where they should have equipment and they don't, and he's got to do it by hand. And then he comes home and he says he's so tired, and then he calls who should be his sister-in-law, but it's like his surrogate mistress. It's disgusting. The point is, he goes home, he says he's tired, and then he calls her, and she just fills him up with whatever she fills him up with, and then he goes back to work and he does it again the next day. Because he honestly doesn't care, as long as he's coming home with the money to provide the image that he is who the world says he should be when he's the complete opposite. It's neither here nor there to him. So when I say I see all the truths at the same time, it's really, I've been into this librarian show, and the mathematician on this show, it shows this where she's thinking, she puts her thoughts into air and she swishes them around, and it kind of works like that, but it doesn't, because it's not up here, it's here inside here, and so you're actually using the three-dimensional space in your mind, but it's not like this linear garbage in, garbage out process. You have all of the truths. It's almost like a spider web, and you see how they're all connected. And that's where it gets overwhelming. It gets so overwhelming because you see how it starts at the top, how it trickles down, and then how it hurts the rest of us. So that's the coffee time politics subject. And with Biden president now, no one's going to do anything about it. He's the chief and commander. All he wants is to distribute funds elsewhere to gain allies for his self-agenda. And he has always cut corners. Biden has always cut corners to do that. Always. Always, always. And it doesn't stop here. Oh, we want a different song now. What song do we want? How about this one? Alexa, play If the Bones Are Good.
Here's the Bones by Mary Morris on Music Music.
This all started because a son was forced to be motherless his whole life. And no matter how much she tried, and she fucking tried, man, she tried. She so fucking tried. Aaron tried. She so tried, man. And he just kept shutting her out. He just kept shaming her. He kept humiliating her until the fucking day she strolled into his house with the fucking oxygen tank strapped next to her. He still humiliated her in front of her own son. And she's dead now. And I couldn't have cared less but these people came to me. All of them. They came to me. They preyed on me. They searched me out. Some wanted to hurt me. Some wanted my help. I didn't go seeking this. I didn't bring this on myself. All I wanted to do was go on a fucking date, man. Like a real date. Not like not like all the fucking men my age and older. Oh my God. You're not 16 anymore. You're not 20 anymore. You just gotta fucking deal with it. This is life. You're old now. We are old. Fucking deal with it, man. The entire point to being parents is to make your children better and stronger than you. If you have children and your goal is to not make your child better and stronger than you should be sterilized. That's just an opinion. There's no reason for you to have children. Now, that doesn't mean that every child born has that capability, because they don't. But it's not the fucking point, man. It's not the fucking point as a parent. So, not only did Gary use his son as property to rise in social status and financial status, he is still using him by trying to make him weaker by reestablishing authority over him. Gary does not want his son to be stronger. Gary does not want his son to be smarter. Gary does not want his son to be better, because that means that he wouldn't be the best in his mind. Now Freud, this was the entire point of the notes that Freud wrote that created the book Phylogenetic Fantasy. That's why I focus on it as much as I do, because once you get to the end of that book, Freud goes out into left field. Freud goes out into cinefield, okay? And because it was more than 100 years ago, there was no follow-up. Nobody could follow up with it. It seemed fictitious. Now, Freud was correct at the end of that book. But he couldn't see the multi-dimensional plane. It's not just linear. It's not just 3D. Energetically, the scope of life itself happens over and over again. So when Freud developed this phylogenetic idea, he was looking at it as a linear plane where the past lives or the past energy reverberated throughout this history's plane, which is why he could never connect the dots. It's a whole lot more understandable when you can recognize that we live this life, this specific life, over and over again until we get it right, which is what deja vu is. It's you remembering you've been here before, you've done this before, you need to do something right next time. Now, Freud understood that primally the man will always try to kill his son at a certain age, and the son will always try to kill the father at a certain age. It was distorted by Shakespeare into Oedipus, and we call it the Oedipal complex. But it's not about wanting to fuck your mother. And that's where people got it wrong. That's where Freud got it wrong. And that's okay. That's a different story for a different day. What I'm saying is that there was one individual child of God that was brought into this world, and his father has fucked him up on the inside out. And now this child must live life motherless. This child does not know how to respect a woman, because he's never been taught. This child doesn't know how to love a woman because he's never seen it in action. This child doesn't even recognize the comfort that comes from a mother and a woman, period, because he was starved of it. And these environmental conditions is what triggers the predisposition. We're all born with a predisposition. I was born with a predisposition to be an addict and an alcoholic. My whole family is. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I fell on an escalator when I was 1. There's the scar. It ripped out my tendon, so I can't do that. I have to do that. That's the way that my hand naturally goes. I was 1 year old. And thank goodness my parents were in the military, or a regular hospital would have just chopped off my hand. And being a clarinetist would have never been in my cards. But they were in the military, and they brought me to Primary Children's Hospital in Salt Lake, and I had 2 reconstructive surgeries done back before plastic surgery was for cosmetic purposes. They gave me Demerol as a pain reliever, and it put me into a coma for more than 24 hours. If I ever have Demerol again, I will die. That physical experience basically like overheated my brain, so that it's almost like it killed that switch. I still have some of it. I mean, I drink coffee. Everybody knows cinnamon in her coffee, and my tobacco. So I'm not saying that I am immune to addiction. What I'm saying is the predisposition for drugs and alcohol didn't trigger inside my brain because it basically overheated when I was a child. Still had that predisposition. So, same thing when it comes to children being separated and starved from their mother by their father, who purely uses him as a piece of property. And that predisposition is psychopathy. Also, yeah, we're not going to go there. But my point is, once Gary reestablished power, control, and authority over his child so that he could continue to use him as a piece of property for image and status, he had me believing that he used the police because his son was being violent. So when he told me about this job, being a dishwasher at this restaurant, I was all for it. Give him a task and teach him a field, an industry that can be a career. Oh yeah, I was on board 100% because he fucking lied to me. Let me tell you something. If that dude had told me prior to his son being hired, I would have ripped that dude 3 new assholes and shoved his fucking nose in it. But he didn't tell me until after the fact. So because Gary is a sexual predator and I fell for it, I participated in this motherless child of God being thrusted into the very industry that breeds addiction. And Gary does it every day, brings his son to work every day, sits down at the bar and drinks alcohol in front of him every day. And if he doesn't do it at the bar, he does it at home. Which again is an environmental factor that leads to the triggering of the predisposition. All Gary has taught his son is how to establish power, control, and authority over people, places, and things. And I will totally do whatever it takes that's within my power appropriately to give this specific child a different opportunity.
Just on that side.
Okay, we're at the 40-minute mark now. I really try to make sure that I don't go over an hour with Coffee Time Politics. You folks don't have to care. You can still live your secular, humanistic, consumeristic, ignorant lives. It's fine. You can keep going. It's not like I can change the world. I can heal the world, just can't change it. But there are some individuals that deserve miracles. And this little boy is one of them. So one of two things is going to happen here. Either Gavin will be loved and supported, and active amends will be made for the rest of his life, because his mother is dead for the rest of his life. So Gary has amends every fucking day, just like Gavin has the choice of recovery every fucking day. You don't get to trigger your own child's predisposition to addiction and then absolve yourself of accountability and responsibility. Not here in Cineworld. So, one of two things is going to happen. Either this child will be given a fair advantage in this world, or the Department of Defense will make good goddamn sure that Newport News shipbuilding is up to date in all of its structural repairs. That I will make time for. Look, I know from my vagina, certain feminine care products make me sick. I've always known that. Now I know why, and I know the part of the federal government that fails, and I know what to do to cause a ruckus about it. But if you don't want to even respect your own vagina, why am I going to go out of the way to stand up for it? I'll stand up for my vagina. Every day, all day. So that's on the back burner, you know what I mean? That's like my ace. But I don't have time for that right now. There's other things. And I was focusing on those other things until I was silenced on Facebook. So now I will make time. It's your choice, Gary. You either make amends with your son every day and give him a fair advantage in this world, or I will dedicate this intellect to calling on the federal government about the discriminations and weaknesses through this company's repetitive pattern of behaviors, so that we are safe. Either you're going to heal your son, Gary, or I'm going to heal the world. It's up to you. Fucking over it. I'm over it all. You want to silence me, that's fine. As for the 3 days, okay, technically, Gary only silenced me for 24 hours. The 3-day mark came because I wrote and forgot to delete a post about a specific person, part of my family's church, and how she is the epitome of white privileged power in America. That was my third one. So apparently I'm silenced for 3 days, which is fine. There's always a backup plan. You wanna get my account deleted, that's fine. It'll take time, but I have a backup plan, and I promise you, if you actually target this Facebook page, you will absolutely regret what I have to do to get back to that point. And I won't hurt anybody. I don't hurt people. Don't you get it? I'm a pacifist. I don't hurt people. I require and force you to accept accountability and responsibility for your actions, because that's what mothers do. We're at the 45-minute mark. So my children, Bubba will be 13 shortly, and Justice just turned 14. So now we're getting into the teenage years, which is pretty much young adulthood. So now I have graduated into a different level of mothering. And you're not going to ruin my children. You're not going to confuse my children. You're not going to lead my children. Horrible lighting. I know I look like crap. My eyebrows aren't even done, but it's okay. Because whether I'm dressed up or not, I'm just still cinnamon. I will tell you what, though. If you had never tried to silence me, I would have never researched Newport News shipbuilding. I would have never understand the chain of command, nor would I have found out that these people have been in federal court since 1940. I mean, seriously. Sometimes the universe just gives me a swift kick in the ass to address the issues that nobody else will. That's what it's always been. And that's why Mr. Ponarelli in 9th grade took me to the side. Said, don't let anybody silence you, Cinnamon. Nobody realized that sexuality would be part of my authority. Peekaboo. I see you. So, at my previous employer, we had me and this Haitian dude made some astronomical numbers one night. Best numbers. Oh my gosh. 420,000, man. It all was put in the garbage. All of it, every last bit of it. That was my breaking point. That's not the point. Carrie said to me, after he had done all of his reporting, I really don't care what happens. I did what I was supposed to do. I maintained integrity. No, Carrie, that's not integrity. It's not what integrity is, Carrie. You were covering your ass in front of me and attempting to use words that I would use to spin it, but that's not integrity, Carrie. C-A-R-E-Y. Integrity is doing the right thing when no one's looking. And when no one was looking, all of my coworkers did the wrong fucking thing. All of them. Every last one of them. No one was looking, right? Alright, I got 12 minutes left. Oh yeah, I do this sometimes, sorry. See, I actually think you're a real person. It will always, 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 always be a setup if you hurt me. Look, I give everybody the sincere, genuine me first. Adam taught me It's my responsibility to give folks rope. What they do with that rope is on them. Oh, so you come to me, I love you first. If you hurt me and I come back, it's a setup. But I'm not evil. So every time I come back, I always give the room for you folks to ask for forgiveness and make amends. Always. Jesus fucking Christ. If our point is to grow and our purpose is to heal and our reason is to learn to love unconditionally and our goal is peace and I keep going back, it's not to create damage, destruction, and death. Is to either A, give you the room to make a miracle, ask for forgiveness and make amends, or B, hold you accountable and responsible for your actions. And I learned with my children, it's not going to be instant anymore. I'll make instant change for my children. But when it comes to the either or, amends, or accountability, it takes time. It takes time. And the fact that I'm sitting in this house and this house looks the way that it does, as fucking disgusting as it is, proves it. 14 fucking years. That man and that woman tore my fucking family apart. Didn't work out for them. They think it did. They're both sitting on their ass doing nothing all day, every day. That was their only goal. But I did not come back to this house to provide my children a quality life, to hop in bed with that motherfucker. Fuck you. Fuck you. Wait, and then Gary's gonna roll up on the scene, having done the worst to his one son? Look, Arthur did a lot of wicked fucking bad shit to his 5 children. He's got 5 of them. Gary did more harm to his one son than Arthur has done to all 5 children. And that says so fucking much. So, when I'm out of Facebook censorship and we can post this, just know one of 2 things is going to happen. Either Newport News Shipbuilding will invest millions of dollars to update their facility, or Gary will make active amends with his son every day of his life. It's going to be one or the other. It's really your choice. As for the whole Mormon thing, generations ago, my family removed themselves from the Church of Latter-day Saints and converted to Catholicism for a reason. Miss Vicky, you can try to censor me all you fucking want, man, but you already opened your fucking mouth. Your words are already right here in my fucking brain. And your religion can't save you. So it'd really be in your best interest to remove this fucking tree from my children's back fucking yard. And never ask Arthur to build a thing for you. Because if you try to exploit his hands to do your work to promote your self-agenda, you will regret it. You can act like a hobbob snob cunt and act me all you want. That's not a battle. That's you showing your true colors in public. I promise you I am stronger than you. Sure, might not have as much money as you, but in the Mormon church, once you're at a certain level, it's not your fucking money anymore. So it's not even your fucking money. Whatever, I don't care. I have 5 minutes. So, the moral of today's story is, and always will be, our point is to grow, our purpose is to heal, our reason is to learn to love unconditionally, and our goal is peace. We do this by giving food and cleaning poop, literally and figuratively, so the ones we love have enough room to grow. And we accomplish that by minding our space, minding our manners, minding our business, as well as not victimizing, not traumatizing, not destroying, and not hurting. And it reaps one result: an improved quality of life. Here in America, I don't care if you are oppressed or not, you still live in royalty compared to the rest of the world. I've seen the places where people live. Sometimes it's their choice, sometimes they are forced. But I fucking promise you, compared to the rest of the world, it is still fucking royalty, because you still get to pick up the fucking phone and make fucking calls to people who can make the fucking changes. So don't you sit here in your little fucking sympathy victim fucking act. I'm not saying that we aren't victimized, but what I am saying is if you stop whining for a fucking moment, you can actually approach and address intellectually and intelligently so that permanent change is fucking made to improve the quality of life, so that once it is improved, we can stand united and heal the rest of the world so that they don't have to live in substandard conditions. Now, if you want money to be your goal and your focus and your success, that's fine, that is on you. But I am letting you know it's not why we're living life. So you will always lose. Because we all know that money, for the people whose goal is money, isn't actually the fucking goal. It's legacy. It's credit. It's namesake. It's so much more than just money. So better not to fight me. And I will continue timelining this so that if anything happens to me or my family, it's recorded. And sure, the news can say she had a big fucking mouth. She talked a lot of smack. But at the end of the day, I'm not the one who committed the crimes. I'm not the sexual predator. I'm not the one who uses children as pieces of property to create an image. So, houses built on matchsticks will always fucking crumble. And houses built on concrete without waterproofing will always eventually fall to the ground and smush the innocent hearts inside. Happy holidays. I'm Coffee Time Politics with Cinnamon.